my classes, and I had really, really, really good professors. This is one of the best universities I've ever seen. And I was accepted in a special program called Classe Préparatoire in the university. That was a pilot program that they created. And then I became very good at math, but I worked a lot. I worked like 100 hours a week. I was working every year, everywhere. I was working in class. I was studying outside of class, in front of the class. Then I was eating and studying. And then when I would go, I had like to go to university. This was like way south from Paris. And I used to take 1 hour and a half to go there with the train. And I used to work in the train, to study. I was taking on purpose a special, on very front, because there was very few people coming in and out, to study the whole thing. And I discovered that by studying, you could learn anything you wanted. And as I was not good at math, as I saw that concentrating on math classes, listening, trying to understand, and after, whenever I would go out, redoing the same thing exactly as I was doing in class, I became very good at that, at doing my math and my physics. Math is something, but the beauty of science, to me, is physics. And as you may become programmers, physics is very close to programming. Why? Because you modelize. You modelize real things with equation, but you modelize it in your head. So you think about an electromagnetic field, and you try to see how it behaves, and you try to modelize it, and to go to a small location and try to see how this can be modelized in your mind, then in equation, then you can modelize it with a program. So modelizing it, the real life, is extremely important. It's the basic to programming, to the right way of programming. If physicians, very strong physicians, have been able to write very nice equations that help us create computers today and create new innovations, it is because they have helped think about the modelization of their own world. And that's very important. And you only get this by working a lot, by becoming not a specialist, but an expert at what you're doing. You cannot do this just by being superficial. Il faut travailler pour devenir un expert dans ce qu'on fait. I want to say something. I had a class professor. She was Vietnamese, a math professor, and she helped us not learn how to work, but to work fast and to think fast. And I can assure you that by trying, you'll become much better than what you are. So you will push yourself. Vous allez devenir plus rapide à penser, mais c'est à force de le faire. Votre cerveau est extrêmement flexible. Ça, il faudrait que vous le sachiez. C'est comme un muscle. Plus vous l'utilisez, et plus il est rapide. Et plus il est bon, et plus il est fort. Donc, utilisez-le au maximum. Ça, c'est les 2 ans à Orsay étaient excellents pour ça. Autre chose ici, c'est que comme on avait, we had a very big program for the class préparatoire, very intense, and we have many things to learn. And so the professor will start writing on the tableau and doesn't stop writing, and you will still be here somewhere writing what he was writing, and he was counting this, and you were trying to catch up because basically you made him. So it was, you needed to be able to be fast and to do many things at the same time. So reading, writing, listening, thinking, asking yourself the right questions. And this is also something that you should do as you're going to be doing real life things, programming, for instance. It will not be your only focus. You will have a project, you will have a budget, you will have a boss that is going to kick on your head each time you do a mistake. You have colleagues that won't stop bothering you. So it's important that you try to do many things at the same time while concentrating on one thing. That's an important thing. It's complicated, but by trying, you will get there. Then I went to an engineering school, and while I was there, then it was much less learning and much more doing, and I did a few things. I organized a career fair for 2 years in a row at the university, which is basically inviting all companies and asking them what jobs you can do, etc. And that was interesting. The second thing was I was part of the junior company to start to get contracts for programming, for instance, or for contracts for c'était des missions de différentes natures. Donc on faisait des missions où on allait faire du porte-à-porte pour essayer de poser des questions par rapport à des produits donnés, par rapport à la réception, par rapport à la perception de ces produits. Est-ce que les gens aimaient, est-ce que les gens n'aimaient pas? On faisait ça pour des restaurants, on faisait ça pour de toutes petites boîtes, et ça nous permettait de gagner un peu d'argent. J'ai intégré le ski club, je ne savais pas skier, j'ai appris à skier là-bas, et depuis c'est devenu une passion. Et j'ai fait beaucoup de débats politiques avec des gens de nationalités différentes, et ça m'a aidé à savoir que je ne voulais pas faire de politique pour le reste de ma vie. À 21 ans, I got my first experience. I was accepted for a first, mon premier stage ingénieur in a company called, at the time it was Arthur Andersen. It's called now Accenture. It's a company that is doing, that is helping company on their IT systems, on how to think about how the IT system should evolve in time. Why? Because most engineers liked this company, and it was one of the best companies to work for at the time in the IT field. And then I met a friend in a bar in the evening, and he told me, no, you are a mad guy. You should absolutely go to work for a bank. And I don't know why, I listened to him, and on the very next morning, I woke up, and I went and took, do you know what les pages jaunes are? Okay, I took les pages jaunes, I went to bank, and I called every single bank in les pages jaunes to try to get a stage in a bank. And I said, bonjour, je m'appelle Ahad Benjelani, je suis étudiant à l'école des mines, je veux aller, je cherche un stage. Est-ce que je pourrais parler à la direction des ressources humaines? Donc, direction humaine, est-ce que je parlais au directeur des ressources humaines? Of course, 80% of the time, nobody would say, you know what, go to your school, we only work with your career center, etc. Until I called Barclays, and I was asking to talk to the director des ressources humaines. C'est une directrice des ressources humaines. I said, fine, can I talk to her? And I got her on the phone, I said, I want a stage. He said, you know what, you're very lucky because I just got a stage request coming 5 minutes before you called. Can you come now? I said, yes, I can come now. So I went to shower and put the suit on, took my bike, and I went to Barclays. And I was really happy, excited, and I found the directrice des ressources humaines. She asked me 3-4 questions. Yeah, well, that's a good school. And then, do you speak English? Yes, I speak English. I cannot speak about philosophy in English, but I can communicate, which is fine. Went to meet with the directeur de la trésorerie, and I got a stage immediately. And that was one of the best experiences I've got, because basically I was put in a team of very experienced people. And first I was put on a desk to do trading, etc. And the director of the desk talked to me and said, this is not for you, not a business for you, you should do something more interesting. I have a team that is very experienced, they will need somebody like you. And I put with this team who worked on payment systems. What payment systems are? Payment systems are systems that are used by banks to pay each other. At the time, this is what it was. Basically, when you have une carte de paiement, like this one, when you go and withdraw money from your account, what happens is that you pay at Carrefour. Carrefour says to her bank, Khaled is saying that he needs to pay me 120 dinars or whatever, and that information go to my bank, and my bank take the money from my account and give it to the bank of Carrefour, and Carrefour give it to Carrefour, and the bank of Carrefour give it to Carrefour. But this is one transaction. In the day you have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of transactions that needs to be managed in real time. That's one thing. The second thing is that this is just one payment system. In a country, you have several payment systems like this one. You have this, you have another system for check, when you pay with a check. You have another system for Bursa, so when you pay and do things on the stock exchange. And you have like 20 systems like this one. And all of this have to go into a major system that cleans all transactions. And that's a very important system because if that system fails, the whole banking sector fails. So basically, you don't have any more. And I worked on that particular system that takes all kinds of transactions on a daily basis and try to find the right balances between basically what the limits that the bank has to take between one another. And that first experience, I was in a month, I was put at the Central Bank of France to help define and design that system. Donc j'ai travaillé à la Banque de France sur la définition du système en tant qu'utilisateur pilote Barclays. We designed the system, and then as I was designing the system, I was with very experienced people. I met this guy called Badreddine Ouali, who told me, you know what, do you want to help me design the same system for Tunisia? And that's what I did. And I had my job in the week, and I had another job in the weekend with Badreddine to help design the system that is now running in Tunisia, and in 19 other countries now. So that's something that was done. And what's important there is that I didn't do one line of code on this thing, but it's running. It's the conception that is important, and it's conceived well. And the first system that I designed with Barclays was very complicated because there was a lot of politics involved. People were fighting with each other. BNP was fighting with Crédit Agricole with the others, and that makes it very complicated at the end of the day. The system that I designed alone on my weekends in a small apartment in Paris, without having all of these interactions, was much more powerful because it was much simpler. We didn't have all of this debate about how it should be running, because basically they had legacy system that worked in a system way, in a particular way. And when there was l'appel d'offres de la Banque Centrale here in Tunisia, the same system that was designed in France and in Europe that is running was proposed to la Banque Centrale de Tunisie, but the one that we designed with BFI was much simpler and powerful and could do much more things. And that's why they got the appel d'offres to run their own system. After that, I went to the US and I worked in a company called Proxicom. Same things. I sent 10 CVs to 10 companies. 9 of them proposed me a job of IT consulting and developer. And the 10th, I was interviewing for the same kind of job, and somebody came to me and said, do you want to work in different things? We are setting up a special team to do strategy, so how to think about, not to develop a system, but how to think, why do companies need to invest into a system? Je vais dire en français peut-être. Pourquoi est-ce qu'on doit développer un système d'information? Où on doit mettre nos investissements? Des entreprises qui faisaient des centres commerciaux se disaient, les gens vont aller acheter leurs affaires et autres en ligne. Comment faire en sorte que nous aussi on ait accès à ce genre de système? Donc j'ai travaillé sur ce genre de questions pendant 3 ans, c'était très intéressant. Et j'ai travaillé pour des grosses boîtes comme ExxonMobil et Merrill Lynch qui avaient de gros projets sur des systèmes de paiement et des systèmes d'e-commerce. À 27 ans, je suis rentré à Tunis and I went to work with Tunavest, now Africa Invest, where I manage several funds. I don't know if I want to get into this. And then I did more things. Beside my job, I organized the Coupe de Tunisie des jeux vidéo, so that was a passion that I had. And together with the team of 5 people, we organized this event for 5 years. And also helped the government do several things, write laws, because I wanted that we have a better business environment in Tunisia. So some lessons learned. As you can see, I worked into several things, and each time I went into a new field, the most important thing was to become an expert. As long as you're starting in a field, quand vous commencez à travailler sur quelque chose de nouveau, en fait, ce qui se passe, c'est que vous pensez connaître beaucoup de choses, mais finalement, vous ne connaissez que très peu de choses. Et ça, c'est une erreur qu'on fait très souvent. Et il faut passer beaucoup de temps à s'investir sur une chose pour pouvoir devenir un expert là-dedans, et pour réellement maîtriser les détails. Quand vous travaillez sur Scratch, par exemple, commencez à savoir faire bouger des choses à droite et à gauche, etc. En fait, Scratch peut faire beaucoup plus de choses si vous passez suffisamment de temps à apprendre de nouvelles fonctions. à aller sur YouTube, à voir de nouveaux éléments, de nouvelles fonctionnalités et à les tester. Et c'est là que vous commencez réellement à devenir un spécialiste de l'outil que vous allez utiliser comme Scratch. Donc c'est important de devenir et de focus, c'est-à-dire se concentrer. Donc se concentrer sur une chose à la fois. Deuxième chose, c'est ne pas avoir peur de se challenger et de se remettre en question et d'évoluer. Ça, c'est un élément qui est important. C'est ce qui permet souvent d'évoluer nous-mêmes. Et comme je vous disais, et c'est de là que vous devenez plus, enfin, vous avez plus de qualité dans certains domaines. Et puis, comprendre une chose, c'est que pour devenir excellent à quelque chose, on n'est pas excellent ou pas excellent. C'est pas ça qui est important. Si vous devenir bon à quelque chose, c'est à force d'essayer. C'est une habitude. C'est une habitude de ne laisser rien au hasard et de se battre sur chacun des détails. Donc ça, c'est important de comprendre que j'entends souvent mes enfants dire « je ne suis pas bon à ça ». On n'est pas bon à ça parce qu'on n'a pas suffisamment essayé. C'est une évidence, c'est quelque chose que vous apprendrez au fur et à mesure, mais qu'il faut connaître. C'est plus vous essayez à faire quelque chose, plus vous devenez bon à cette chose. Et puis, si vous voulez devenir très bon, il y a cette fameuse barre des 10 000 heures dans quelque chose. Il faut investir 10 000 heures de votre temps dans une seule chose pour devenir très bon à une échelle internationale. Et ça ne tient qu'à vous. And don't stop innovating. Il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut faire ici, Pythonus en particulier, parce que finalement il y a peu de choses qui sont faites, mais ça veut dire que ça laisse beaucoup d'espace à faire. Il faut que vous innoviez. Vous avez la chance de faire un cours comme celui-ci, qui vous permet éventuellement d'avoir des idées nouvelles. Ce que je vous conseille, c'est de trouver des projets, les organiser et en faire une habitude d'organiser. Alors ça peut être un hackathon, ça peut être une video game competition, comme ce qu'on a fait. Ça peut être une compétition de sport et de développement. Il y a tellement de choses à faire aujourd'hui, à votre âge, dans un contexte comme celui-ci, que je vous conseille vraiment de le faire. Spark, oui, bien sûr. Voilà, merci.
Merci.